And I say to him, Brucey, I'm a teacher, and I write poetry, and I really don't have time for these things. So you really shouldn't ask me. Thank you for asking. Maybe I said that if I was nice. But I don't have time to do stuff like this. I'm reading David Abram, Becoming Animal. Yes. And Brucey isn't like my other Cambridge friends because he's an auto mechanic. I have friends who read books. And he's living then in somewhere north. It doesn't matter. I mean, if it's either Cambridge or somewhere else. That's how we divide the world, Cambridge or other places. So he doesn't say like other people who might be disappointed, like, some people we know. Doesn't just keep it to himself. He screams at me. What do you mean? You don't have time. That's not a way to be a friend. You don't have time for me. And I can't do it as well as him. And it feels to me, I felt this before, that a horse or a donkey had kicked me in the stomach. And he does it way better than I. He describes himself as a rageaholic. He learned from his father. My father taught me math, his father taught him. So this was very unique experience. But I'm a philosophy teacher, and I'm not going to let anybody, and I just say, I'm sorry you feel that way. And he goes, and he leaves. Because I didn't want to get too, I didn't want to spend too much time with an auto mechanic. I'm a professor. And with anybody really, and certainly somebody wanted to have a real relationship with a real man. I would feel a little awkward with him. He might look upon me as, oh my, I can have a friend who reads books. Brucey doesn't read books. Well, that's the beginning of a friendship. But I keep my distance to some degree. Then, one day, an old friend from the University of Chicago comes and visits. His name is Bob Strand, and he's with his new wife, lovely Asian wife, whose name I forget, forgive me for the moment. And he's got a PhD, he had 2 children, he's married, I'm single, we're the same age. And Bob really always loved me, much more than even I him. She had much opener heart than I. And he was happy to see me, and I'm shaking when we're sitting in the same kitchen, just talking to him and his wife, feeling very competitive, even though it wouldn't matter to him at all. Oh, you've got a PhD, and you're on a pension from the university, you've got a new wife, and you've got children and a home, and I'm just a adjunct philosophy professor and teach poetry at the Cambridge Center for Adult Education. And I'm really shaky. I think probably crying. And he's very, very nice. They're both very nice to me. They're sitting in the kitchen. They don't even know what's going on. I somehow am able to shake and smile at the same time. So they don't know this. And then I go over to Brucey's, and I say, Brucey, I was just feeling so less, let's see, what do I say, Brucey? I was comparing myself to my friend and feeling so much smaller and less valuable. And Brucey says, oh, you do that too? Oh! And he was, in some way, and then he says, as Brucey does, but it's not like anyone else saying it. He says, Mikey, I love you, Mikey. And the same power that used to hit me in the gut was all of a sudden coming through. He doesn't say like, love you, love you. I love you. I really, really love you. Give me one big, fat, wet kiss. Love you, Mikey! Wow. It's harder to feel because I've been doing it, but, to feel it coming through to me. Oh. And it got through into my bones, it gets through. And I feel loved.
Can you feel it right now?
Let's see. I think I was feeling it when I was saying it to you. Yes, it's hard because unless you said that to me, but I would have to say it to me. I was saying it to you, but. I can.
See.
Yes, but I feel like crying actually, because it really gets through the way no one ever did. People have said these things, and I go back because my friends are staying over for another night, and I look forward to seeing them with this renewed sense. And I go and I meet with him, and I'm not feeling, that's bad. Not only am I not feeling, I probably still am feeling competitive and comparative, but I start picking on his poetry and his philosophy and feeling superior, actually, is what he said. We sit at the Algiers outside, or maybe it's the Casablanca upstairs, and he's from Iowa, and in Iowa there's things we learn in Cambridge that he doesn't know about yet, and so I feel very. If a better person would have felt equal and happy, I feel I had to go from feeling lower to feeling to, in some ways, using my Cambridge intellect to feel at least probably better or less, in some ways, that I had a nice time, thanks to Brucey. So this, and good, and I'm finished. This is my story of true love. No, self-love never did run smooth.
Would you like to sit down and talk about it?
Whatever, your judge. We have, you can do that or something else. We have 4.5 minutes.
Okay. I'm curious if, when you were telling it, if taking the time to try to, did you find yourself being able to occasionally actually experience some of the sensations that were like rocking in the chair, drinking the twig tea?
No, a tiny bit. I could feel the big feelings, but I didn't feel. I did it the first time I rocked, but you were supposed to ask me at times if you wanted to. Maybe you do it now. Ask for a sense or 5 senses or 6. So at least you're asking now, right? We forgot to say that.
Well, I did. I stopped you once and
asked.
Yeah, if you were really... Actually, it was feeling the feeling.
No, that's easier.
It's and easier. Seeing what Bruce looked like.
Yes, that was harder. Like. Way harder.
What he looked like.
Yes, and I could begin to sense... it's a beginning sense, not like vividly like a dream, which would be very nice. Maybe now we have a little moment to revisit the story. We could take like snapshots. If you want to.
Yeah.
You're in charge.
Yeah.
Hard is it for me to let go of control?
Oh, well. Okay. I guess I'm curious if what your experience is in telling the story and trying to connect the times that maybe you were able to stop and connect to it. So maybe taking the time to connect how you felt. Some sadness, felt like crying when you actually could get in touch with Brucey saying I love you and having it go into your bones.
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about your experience of that? Like, is there anything different that maybe telling a story without really taking the time to experience it yourself that might be different from if you just tell a story because you know it in your head, as opposed to taking the time to feel it.
I think I'm getting better with your help at feeling it. So I think I felt it, even feel crying like crying now. I think it's still somewhat of a feeling bypass. Because I'll really feel it deeply, but I won't really feel the scene. Like, when did Brucey say that to me in his kitchen? You know, when I went over to his house and he said that to me, and I could feel the heart of it, the words, but not be present in his kitchen. The new kitchen that his sweetheart remodeled and is much nicer with a new stove and a new sink. And that part I forget still. So
That's, what's making me think of is how David Abram likes to connect things to a sense of place.
And David Abram has written this book, Becoming Animal, which is a great book.
Yeah, which we talked about more in other shows about his.
Yes.
Yeah.
Feel free to go to michaelkoran.blip.tv to see our David Abram story once our producer in the other room puts it up.
Okay, yes. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because also I'm thinking of co-counseling, how it's healing to have one foot in trying to recall things that are traumatic. They find that the method is to have one foot in being aware of where you are and one foot remembering the past experience.
So, and being aware where I am, meaning being aware there's a television here and that you're standing next to me and so on.
Yeah. But I also wonder if somehow that also might translate to a sense of place in the story, that I wonder if it could be healing to spend time looking around and describing the details so that you're getting outside of your own.
Yes.
Only having it internal.
Yes.
Maybe. That's
yes.
Interesting.
I think it would be very healing if I had felt his kitchen, which is a very special kitchen that his friend remodeled, and that might have helped us have room in it and feel roomy. Maybe sink.
Well, do you want to describe it now?
Yes, it has one of these new aluminum sinks and new cabinets. I think they're brown. And a lovely ceiling. It might be a higher ceiling even. Perhaps, it doesn't have to be accurate, it's just what I see now, a red floor.
And I wonder if you can do it looking around at me or around at us and remember some of this. I don't know.
Oh, with my eyes open, you mean?
Yeah.
You feel left out. Or I close my eyes.
No. I'm just thinking of.
But I'm telling a story.
No, I'm thinking of co-counseling, how it's helpful to
open up
be aware of that you're telling the story, so you're aware of where you are.
Oh, now. So not only saying there, but see your golden hair.
Well, one little element of being connected to the present while you tell a story of the past.
Yes.
I'm just brainstorming that it might be helpful.
I think it is.
And so,
yes.
I don't know.
It's very modest.
And
we ran out of. We're recording this, but we've gone way past our time.
Oh gosh! Wow.
Time flies when we're having. Yes.
Yes.
Oh.